What's going on, everyone? Rob here with the playoff picture for the semifinals
Yep.
of the
Yeah.
GBA
Yeah.
Season 6. And
Yeah.
of course, I'm joined by MoxieInfernape.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm MoxieInfernape here with the playoff previews, not picture. I mean, same kind of thing, but like, it's whatever.
My bad.
It's all good. But yeah, so this week we got some good matches. We have George versus Envy and Fizz versus Coop.
Yep.
So yeah, if you want to start talking about George and Envy.
Alright, so the first matchup we have is the San Diego Chimp Chargers against the San Francisco Arcaniners. Of course, MV versus George. MV beat Dan in a really close game, 1-0, to get to this spot in the semifinals. And George, of course, convincingly beat Nick 5-0 to get here. But they have played before. They did play early on, first half of the season.
It's week 4, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and
it was a 4-0 win for Envy. Of course, that very popular Rock Polish Don fan getting 4 kills right at the end.
That was beautiful. That was great. And then with Natural Get Fire too, just to rub it in. So
yeah, that was
cool.
pretty awesome. So, Moxie.
Yeah. So I'll go over George's threats. George has the Infernape and the Mammoth Swine. As Envy doesn't really have great switch-ins either. He could bring like a physically defensive Gyarados, potentially with a Yachiberry to take a freeze drive from the Mammo. But even then, it can get chipped down pretty easily, as George can set up Stealth Rocks with a lot of things like maybe Infernape, maybe like Nidoqueen, Fortress. He just has a lot of rockers on his team.
A lot of hazard sitters, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hazard sitters. And, you know, there could be like a Don fan or a Togekiss to get rid of hazards, but even then...
Which you don't usually necessarily want them doing. Well, more so Don fan, I guess you would use as a rapid spinner, but Togekiss you don't always want to use as a defogger.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's tough when you kind of force Toge as a defogger.
Yeah, but as you saw, even Envy ran Don fan offensively last time, so...
Yeah, this is a cool set he brought last time.
So he could take advantage of the hazards George can.
Yeah, I mean, it could be tough for him to get rid of hazards, because George can pressure him and just make it tough for him to just find a good opportunity to get rid of the hazards there. But Envy also has some threats in like Keldeo and Togekiss, as George just has a tough time dealing with Keldeo. He just has a lot of trouble switching into water or like fighting, just a combination of both. Really hits a lot of things, like he could switch in Snorlax to Scald, he could have like Rest or maybe Facade, but like Secret Sword does a lot, or like Sacred Sword, whatever it is. I think it's Secret, but you know, that fighting move. He could have, like he just has a lot of trouble like switching into fighting, and if it's like Specs or Life Orb, it's just going to be hitting him really hard, and it's going to give George a lot of trouble. I think Togekiss could be Scarf and just flinch things down, could just be bulky, just Air Slash and just kill things. George has trouble dealing with like just flying types, as only flying resist is Electabuzz, which he has used pretty well. Just a nice bulky pivot, but I think Envy's gonna be able to weaken that thing down, especially with stuff like maybe Donphan or like Mega Ampharos can help to weaken down the Electabuzz, or if he just gets up any hazards, it can chip that thing down pretty easily to where Scarf Toad could just like flinch things down and just Air Slash to death and just be really scary. But yeah, if you have anything else to say about that match, anything you want to throw in there?
Well, it's kind of weird because last time George had the Milotic to do a lot of the defensive work.
Yeah, he's able to switch into like Blaziken, and I think Envy brought Haxorus, and he tried to use it as like a Haxorus switch in. Yeah. But now he does not have the Milotic, he's the Manaphy instead, which is also bulky, but it's usually more of like a setup mon, which I think it just does that job better, and could be scary this week. It gets a lot of coverage and just good setup moves, but Envy has things that could outspeed it and just get a nice kill if he tries to set up.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how George supplements the defensive mons this time.
Yeah.
Also, Nidoqueen, I see putting in a lot of work just all around with hazards and just offensively. Togekiss plus Rachi is always nice for Envy. I don't think we'll see the same Donphan set this week, but if we do, that'll
probably not.
That'll be funny if he pulls it off.
But I think George is going to be a little more aware of that.
Yeah, if anything, I could see a Haxorus sweep this time.
That could happen, yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, it's like a Yachiberry. That way Mammo can't really check it as well. But yeah, I can see that. So, is there anything else you have to say about that, or should we move on to Coop and
Yeah,
Fizz.
let's move on to the next match,
All right.
that being the Atlanta Haluchas versus the Utah Jasmine. Of course, Fizz versus Cooper. Fizz beating Chimpact 3-0 to get to this to get to the semifinals, and Cooper beating Miguel also 3-0. Both matches kind of hacksy. Cooper is a little bit more so.
Yeah.
And as for previous matches, Fizz has met Cooper in the past. If you remember, that was a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, it came
Fizz's
down.
offense couldn't quite break through Cooper's defense.
Yeah, he had a glass score which Fizz had trouble breaking through. As he has no ice type and its only water type is Volcanion, which can be pretty good. It's just nice to hit hard and is good against Coop's team. But with like rocks and potential spikes, Coop could set up spikes with like Greninja, but like it could just get chipped down pretty easily, especially if it carries Life Orb. So he could have trouble really just breaking through the Gliscor again.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Fizz threats, he has the Volcanion, but also the Halucha, which he brought last time, and it did okay, but I forget what his exact set was last time. It could be maybe like a sub-lychee berry or just some berry or item he can use and then get the boost from Unburden, and then potentially sweep or just hit hard against Coop. Maybe like a Life Orb or like Bandit even, just to like high jump kick or probably not acrobatics, but like just hit hard on the fighting side, and then flying also, or really just fighting does a lot versus Cooper's team, and he could carry like Poison Jab, Clefable. That does work to a lot of his team. He does have maybe like Claydol or Weezing, which could sort of check it, but they can also get weakened down pretty easily. But yeah, if you want to go over Coop's threats and talk a little bit about those.
Coop's threats I'm not exactly sure what he'll do this game, but last game it really relied on his more defensive mons, i.e. Gliscor, Empoleon, things like that, maybe even Weezing, Clefable. But I'm sure he'll go with a different strategy this time, just because I think if Fizz brings a Specs Volcanion, that'll present like a much bigger problem to Cooper.
Yeah, he really has a lot of trouble switching into that. He has maybe, he has water resist, Empoleon, Greninja. I think that's it.
Yeah, which aren't Greninja being his only fire resist also.
Yeah, that's frail, and he could just go for like Fire Blast or Earth Power to weaken down the Empoleon.
I mean, not his only fire resist, but I mean like his only dual resist, which is not much of a defensive mon.
No. Yeah, it's probably not going to take an Earth Power or even a Steam Eruption too well, especially if it gets burned.
Yeah, definitely. That burn can be so costly. But it should be interesting how this one stacks up. I definitely don't see the Sableye coming.
I mean, it could, just because it's Coop, and, he likes to, bring swagger, just be annoying with that. But Fizz does have two fairies, being Florges and Whimsicott, which I believe...
Whimsicott, which can out-prankster.
Yeah, it could taunt it if it wants to try to just do anything like swagger, and then I can just Moonblast. But yeah, he brought both fairies last time, so I don't think Sableye is too likely to come, and if it does, I think Fizz is going to be able to handle it okay, because he does have the fairies, and even then, it could be nice to, burn some things on Fizz's team, like maybe Mega Scizor, Halucha, but he could carry like a Lumberry on Salamence and just use that as a chance to just hit the Sableye hard and maybe set up. But yeah.
Especially with Florges being the only cleric on the team.
Yeah, but it is a good cleric, though.
Yeah, it's a very solid cleric.
Yeah. But yeah, Coop's Gliscor Magnezone could trap the Mega Scizor. So I don't think it's too likely for Fizz to bring the Mega Scizor, but he could just try to U-turn and like on his switch into Magnezone. That's very possible if he can pivot well around it. Or last time, did he bring it? Maybe I'm thinking of another match, but I think Fizz predicted the switch into Magnezone and went for Superpower last time.
He's tried to do that in the last game against Chimpact. He tried to do that.
Yeah, he tried that.
Magneton.
And it almost worked, but Chimp was able to play around that. But yeah, if you have anything else to say about Coop or Fizz and anything in that game.
Not that I could think of. I think that's all. Of course, this is going to be a shorter video. There's only 2 games to talk about.
Yeah, it's 2, not 4. But we went a little more in depth about these.
Definitely.
But yeah, these should be definitely 2 really good matches between some good players, George and Envy. That was a good match last time. It was closer than that 4-0 says. because Envy was able to just play with his Donphan well and find a good opportunity to set up and then just sweep and be allured. But yeah, definitely some good games we have coming up. If you have anything else to say about the games, or just want to wrap it up now.
Yeah, okay, let's wrap it up. So tell us in the comments who you think will make it to the final. This should be a very entertaining week. Thank you,
Sure.
MoxieInfernape, for joining us.
Yeah, it's about
this
all
week.
I have to say. Definitely looking forward to these battles. I believe George won't be battling Envy till kind of later, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if George can make it to two championships in a row. That'll be cool. But yeah, I think that's all for today, as I've kind of said like 5 times now. But but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like it and comment, who you think's gonna make the championship, and then who you think's gonna win that game. Yeah, definitely, we have some good games coming up. I'm MoxieInfernape, and Rob, you outro us.
I'm Rob, and thank you for watching the playoff predictions, and we will see you next time for the finals.
Yep, see ya.